Hello everyone, this is a not sponsored review of the LEGO Marvel The Avengers versus the Leviathan set. That's a lot of thes in the title. This comes with 347 pieces. I paid $50 US for it. That's its standard retail price, and I actually built this one for my pure build over on my non-creepy ASMR, just the sounds of building the set channel. This comes with 4 minifigures plus 1 big fig, but we'll look at those after the main build. First impression, generally positive. Of course, we want these things to be huge, and we also want them to be super, super cheap. You can have one or the other. So the size of this, well, actually, maybe neither. We'll get to that. We'll get to talk about value. The size of this is large relative to a minifigure, but it's nothing like the things actually were. I think it actually scales decently well to Hulk. Like, I can imagine this being a fun thing, to have Hulk jump up and knock this thing in its noggin. I just have a huge leap and then smash down from above. So it's not too bad, but again, obviously these things should be absolutely immense. I think that this captures the overall look pretty decently well. You're able to get this kind of snaking motion in the articulation of the spine, so you can really turn all the way in like this. So that's good. And you can also go kind of half and half to get that S kind of move, but you can't go up and down unless you break one of the, not really break, but separate out one of the joints. So you can get that to work, you see, and you can also get that to work by just separating one of the joints there. But it's not recommended. It's not particularly secure that way. The wings are able to move around. They've got a good range of motion, and that's for all of them because they all have these ball joints. And then right here for the head itself is on a ball joint as well, so that can move around. And then you've got the jaw, which is able to open and close and also shift forward and back just a little bit, which doesn't really do anything, but that's that. And then a couple of shooters up here as well. You can put a minifigure on top if you want to. If you pull this piece off, you can even have two. You can have Loki standing at the front and then have Chitauri Warrior at the back. And it has these two little stands underneath. Now the rib pieces I think are set up pretty nicely because it's a lot easier to just grab this thing and play with it and not worry about knocking these off or making them get out of place compared to the one that came with the Avengers Tower set. Now, if you have Avengers Tower, you don't need to get this unless you simply want to get another Leviathan, because here's the Avengers Tower version. It looks phenomenally similar. As a matter of fact, the head is almost the same. The size is pretty much the same, but this one, all this is kind of a pain for play. Like, you want these to be posed up nicely, but the easiest thing to do with all of them is to kind of squish them together. And here on the stand, this is starting to pull apart and everything. So ultimately, this is just better for display, I think. And part of the reason for that is the stand. Like, the stand actually has this thing standing up in the air, which is really nice. It's actually able to fly around. That's a good idea. This one's always going to be on the ground. That's not a good idea. So easier to hold, easier to play with here, but definitely better looking, mostly because of the inclusion of just a couple extra pieces to elevate it. Big Fig Hulk, I think, looks pretty good. It's a standard Big Fig kind of design, except it has the modern size or modern style of head where you can turn the head around, and it also has a separate hairpiece, so you can do some customizations. You can even put one of these huge hairs onto a regular minifigure if you want. The print on this is kind of weak. It's just shiny paint, one single color there. It's fine. It's not bad, but by today's standards, I think we could do better than that. And also, hey, they could put an alternate face on the back there. I'm just saying. This hair completely covers up the back, so why not give him an alternate expression? They've done one of these where he's kind of grinning. I think this is a much more useful one because he's mad. You want him to be smashing. You want to be making that face when he's smashing. So that's overall a good thing. But yeah, it's just fine. I'd say that Captain America on the right is just fine also, and you can interpret that however you want. It's just missing any kind of print for the arms or the legs. Doesn't really need them that much, but definitely would have made it, I don't know, just feel more valuable and proper by today's standards. Just elevate it a little bit like they did with Black Widow over here. At least the print is not too bad for the face, thank goodness, for this one either. So that's unusually good. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But the Black Widow is really good. She has print for the legs. Print goes straight on through. The little bit of skin tone there is not too bad for being printed on black by LEGO standards. And she's got the arm printing as well. Comes with stud shooter. So this is really showing you that it's a play focused set, but no alternate, just regular gun for. They could have included that. It's just one piece. But yeah, overall, this is a good figure. This is an okay figure. And I would also say that these two figures are okay. They're fine. Not bad. Not bad. Really nice print for the Chitauri Warrior's face and torso. Nothing below that. The build for the weapon is perfectly fine. That's, it's appropriate and everything. I think Loki looks pretty good. Let me just take the Tesseract away here real quick. The prints that are on the torso into the hip and down to the legs, those are all nice. And it's all against gunmetal gray. They introduced the idea of the rubber cape for Loki here. So they're spreading those around. And again, so many indicators we have here that this is a play focused set. I mean, it is, after all, a 7+ set. And I think that these are good for play. Not everybody agrees with that, and that's okay. But I have my stance. I've formed my opinions based on everything that I've seen and experienced so far. I think that this is good for play. It doesn't get damaged easily. It can move out of the way just fine. You can remove it easily and put it onto another figure. You can marvel at the not great print on the back. Again, it's just fine, and it doesn't force the head to be raised up like the nicer cloth ones did. It also doesn't get crinkled up and damaged like the older kind of papery style ones did. I thought that when I saw how just close the chin guards or jaw guards on the helmet came down around the cape, I thought that it was not going to be able to turn, but it can turn just fine. It might lift up just a little bit, but that's perfectly fine. So at least we have no serious limitation there. And here he's got his little muzzle on, which is a good alternate to use. And finally, these are the only leftover pieces. At least you get the extra scepter or staff there, but mostly just extra shots for the stud shooters. In terms of value, again, I paid $50 US for this. It's 50 euros, 45 pounds UK, or $65 Canadian. And I definitely think that that's too much for this. I would expect this to be at around $39.99, $40 US. In that kind of range. And even at that, I would probably be saying, yeah, I can kind of see how they can do that because of the inclusion of the big fig and the big fig's cost. I would be making excuses for it. Because will anybody think of the poor small family company that needs to make its literally billion with a B dollar net profit per year? Will anybody think of them? They can't price these things too low. So that's where I'd be at. If it was at 40, it's at 50. So yeah, I'm going to say no excuses whatsoever for this one. I would definitely recommend waiting for this to go on sale, which I can definitely see it going on sale because it doesn't seem like a high demand item. It's based off older material, which is perfectly fine, but it's not a bad set. Yeah, just get the price down, and I think it's fine for what it is. Better figures would definitely sweeten the pot here a lot, and some alternate stands for the sake of display. I think for the main thing here, the Leviathan itself would be nice. Otherwise, yeah, not so bad. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.